Hey guys, today we're launching Hip Thruster 2.0 and I want to go over the new design for you guys. So here I've got the unit and it's still 16 inches high. The dimensions are pretty similar, they haven't changed. But the main differences are this new band peg design and then the band pegs up front. So this lets you do banded deadlifts and some other things. And this just allows for more versatility with hip thrusting, which I'll go over in a minute. So a few months back, I was prescribing banded deadlifts to my clients, and it was really a pain in the butt to set up if you don't have a deadlift platform. And the deadlift platforms are very expensive, but I was using dumbbells to keep the bands in place, and it was just seriously a real pain in the butt to have dumbbells positioned on each side of the barbell so you could stretch a band over them, and I had to use really heavy dumbbells and lug them around. So that, for that reason, I'm like, we should have these band pegs on our hip thruster unit because you're standing on the platform anyway. And actually, our UK hip thruster, they've been doing this actually all along. They thought of this before me, the UK hip thruster. So if you bought one in the UK, you already have this. But here you can see it in action. I just line up. And you can have mini bands or you can use longer bands, but this works out really well because at the top right here, I would guess that this adds, just with these mini bands, this probably adds an extra 50 pounds. And I like that you start on the mat because this is a little bit of a deficit. So you're combining like a 2-inch deficit with the bands, so it's really, you get an effect throughout the full range of motion. So that's one huge benefit to the new hip thruster design is these bands. Okay, one advantage to the new design was this T band design is that you can hook band pegs, you can loop 2 mini bands to this, oriented perpendicular to the unit. And then you can perform mini banded barbell hip thrusts. And this ends up being so smooth. And for most of my female clients, this just ends up being the perfect amount of resistance here to add to the top. So it's just a really smooth hip thrust. And if I had to guess, I'd say this probably adds around 40 pounds or so to the top of the hip thrust. If I use black bands, it'd probably add, 60 pounds or so. But we also like to do these with a mini band around our knees or a hip circle. That actually is probably my favorite type of hip thrust at the moment. Mini band or hip circle around the knees, and then 2 loops with the barbell. It's really, really smooth. So let's say you don't even have a barbell. Let's say you just want a hip thrust out of your own home and store this, at in your guest bedroom or in your closet or in your garage. Well, that's fine because you can get an amazing workout just using bands. And I like to do double banded hip thrusts. So I can put a band around my knees, and I like to put these just below the knees. And for men, we need a strong mini band. The women can do well, most women, with the, just loops that you can get from like Perform Better or Power Systems. I need stronger ones like a hip circle, or this one is from xbands.com. This one gives me a really good resistance. And then this is what I was talking about this design. It's just so convenient here because you just loop it on like this. The old design had the pegs going outwards. So this, you just loop it right here, it's ready to go. I like to combine these 2 bands because I'm stronger. So you just loop another one on there. And then from here, as you can see, I can get an amazing workout from just using bands here. So I just did that for 5 reps. If I did this for a workout, I'd probably do 3 sets of 12, and you know, it's a really good strengthening effect on the glutes. And what I like about this is that when you do barbell hip thrusts, you tend to, just like with squats, you tend to want to skip on your depth. With hip thrusts, you skip on your bar height over time. As you get stronger, you quit using full hip extension. With bands, it keeps that top range strong, and that's the zone where you get maximal glute activation at the very top. That's the highest your glutes can activate, is at the top of a hip thrust. So this keeps that range strong, so then if you also do barbell hip thrusts, it's gonna encourage better form because you're gonna naturally be stronger at that top range. So for that reason, I encourage people who have the ability to do both barbell and band to do both of them throughout the week. But for people who just have hip thrusters at their home, I encourage them to hip thrust 5 days a week. And I think you can get maximum results in the glute department doing hip thrusts, different types of hip thrusts very frequently. And I have a couple of testimonials where my clients saw really, really good results from doing just band hip thrusts alone 5 days per week.